Okay, so let's put the whole thing together. This is using the short wind formula or the mill or BC formula. A bunch of different names I've heard over the time. This particular gun is a 4 gun because it's a 175 Match King at about 2600. The range is going to be 652. So we'd go to the front side because the first thing you need is the winds, of course, because you already have the distance. So we have a 12 mile an hour at 1 o'clock at the firing position. We're going to use 3 winds. We found it to be really most accurate, but you can use 1, 2, depending on the time you have and whatnot. But 3 we find works out real well. 12 mile an hour at 1 o'clock at the firing position or at the muzzle. So 1 o'clock, you'd come to the innermost, the one available. You'd put 12 miles an hour, convert it to 6 miles an hour to the full value conversion ring around the outside. So 12 at 1 becomes a 6 mile per hour full value. The second wind halfway down is 10 mile an hour at 3 o'clock. There's no reason to convert, but just for the purposes, 10 miles an hour, it's already converted, so it's 10. So 10 is 10. And then at the target, 10 mile an hour at 2 o'clock. So we find 2 o'clock. We go to 10 mile an hour. And it's approximately 9 miles an hour. So a 10 at 2 really converts to a 9 mile an hour full. What we do is we add all 3 of the winds together if they come from the same side. So that's where you can use the addition up front. You can either do it wind call by wind call or wait at the end and add them all together. Doesn't really matter. I would personally do them one at a time. So I would go 12 mile an hour, firing position, muzzle, 6 miles an hour. I would rotate it and put 6. Right wind, so positive for right, negative wind for left, just to make it easy for you. That's the first wind. You want to touch the outside one. This is why they are independent. Next wind is 10 miles an hour at 3. It's a full value, so 6 plus 10 more is 16. Notice how you don't need to look at the actual number. You look at the line and you drag the line to where it's supposed to be. The number becomes irrelevant. Just following the process gets the job done. The third wind at the target, it's 10 miles an hour, 2 o'clock. That converted to 9. So even though it's 16, you don't care. It's 16. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what it is. 25 total. Now, because they're all from the right side, we divide 25, which is the total number, by 3 winds because they're all from the same side. 25 divided by 3, because this is divided by 2 from the other videos. Wherever this number is, that's divided by 2. Wherever this number is, that's divided by 3. So 25 divided by 3 gives us 8 1/3, something like that. 8 miles an hour. That's what you're going to use for your dope and your full value wind in your wind formula. Flip it over to the multiplication and division side. So we need 8 miles an hour, and it's a 4-gun, as we set up here. So 8 goes on to 4. That sets the disc up. So you rotate the white disc to put your miles an hour of wind at full value under what number gun you have. It's a 4 if it's a if it's a 175 Match King. It's probably a 5 if you're shooting it's like a 5 or 6 or a 7 if you're shooting like a 6mm or a 6.5mm or something like that, or like a 300 Win Mag. So miles an hour under your gun, we said we had about 8 1/3 more or less. So 8 1/3 under your gun. Find your range, which is 652. That'd be 650, not 65. 652 is somewhere around there. You would dial 1.6 mil. So 8 goes under your 4 equals 2, but really that number just sets the disk, so it doesn't really matter what this really becomes. This is just setting the disk up for the next process. You don't rotate, you find your distance, 65, next line over, what it winds up being, very close to 1.36 mil. Dial it, shoot, and there you go. So realistically, you come from the front, you get your two or three wins, or your single win, whatever it winds up being, get your single full value, which happens to be 8 miles an hour. $8 mile an hour under whatever number gun you have, whatever you figured out. Mile an hour wind, 8 1/3, under 4. Set the disc. Look at the distance. That number right there, that's your mil. Dial it or hold off and you're good to go.